In 452 AD, a barbarian leader stopped before the walls of Aquileia, one of the largest cities in northern Italy, with 100,000 inhabitants. Within days, the city was completely wiped off the map, stone by stone, inhabitant by inhabitant. Its survivors fled to the lagoon and founded what we now call Venice. This man was Attila, king of the Huns, whom the Romans themselves called the Scourge of God. In 20 years, he changed Europe forever. The 5th century AD was an age of collapse. The Western Roman Empire, once invincible, was bleeding from every wound: civil wars, barbarian invasions, devastating corruption. Central Europe was inhabited by the Huns, nomads from the Asian steppes who arrived on the continent around 370 AD. Unrivaled mounted warriors, they pushed Visigoths and Ostrogoths into Roman territory, triggering a chain reaction that would culminate in Rome's fall within just decades. Attila was born around 406 AD on the Great Hungarian Plain. From childhood, he was raised in the warrior tradition of the Huns: cavalry, bow and arrow, nomadic life. His father, Munzuk, was the brother of King Ruga. As a young man, Attila spent years as a voluntary hostage at the Roman court of Ravenna, learning Latin, military strategy, and above all, the enemy's weaknesses. That experience would shape the strategist who, decades later, used every secret learned to humiliate Rome repeatedly. In 434 AD, with the death of his uncle Ruga, Attila and his brother Bleda assumed joint command of the Huns. They immediately forced the Eastern Roman Empire to double its annual tribute payments, from 350 to 700 pounds of gold. In 444 AD, Attila murdered Bleda and became the sole absolute ruler of an empire stretching from the Rhine to the Volga, commanding hundreds of tribes and tens of thousands of merciless warriors. Between 441 and 443 AD, Attila launched his first major campaigns against the Eastern Roman Empire. Cities like Singidunum, modern Belgrade, and Nisus, modern Niš, were wiped off the map. Nisus was one of the largest Balkan cities, around 100,000 inhabitants. According to historian Priscus, who visited years later, the surrounding fields were still covered in human bones. The Eastern Empire paid 6,000 pounds of gold as a peace settlement. Attila was short, with a large head, small eyes, and sparse beard, nothing the Romans expected of a conqueror. Yet his presence was terrifying. According to Priscus, a Roman diplomat who met him personally in 448 AD, Attila was calculating, ruthless, and possessed magnetic charisma over his warriors. He did not drink excessively or wear gold, unlike his generals. He slept on a simple wooden bed. He was the embodiment of discipline, coldness, and terror. Attila commanded a confederation of peoples: Huns, Ostrogoths, Gepids, Herulls, and dozens of smaller tribes. His most feared generals were Edico and Onegesius. On the Roman side, General Aetius, called the Last Roman, was the only man capable of facing him in the field. Remarkably, Aetius had spent years as a hostage among the Huns in his youth, knowing Attila personally. That friendship turned deadly rivalry determined the fate of two empires on a single battlefield. In 450 AD, Honoria, sister of Emperor Valentinian III, secretly sent Attila her ring and a plea for help. She was being forced to marry a Roman senator against her will. Attila interpreted the ring as a marriage proposal and demanded half of the Western Roman Empire as a dowry. Valentinian refused. Attila now had the perfect pretext for the greatest invasion in history, defending the honor of his Roman bride before the entire world. In June 451 AD, the Catalaunian Plains, in present-day Champagne, France, became the site of the bloodiest battle of the 5th century. Around 300,000 warriors clashed in a single day. Aetius allied with the Visigoths, led by King Theodoric I, who died in combat. The result was inconclusive, but Attila retreated, his only major defeat in open battle. Historians estimate between 150,000 and 300,000 dead in that single catastrophic day. After his defeat at the Catalaunian Plains, Attila did not give up. In 452 AD, he invaded Italy, destroying Aquileia, Mediolanum, modern Milan, and Ticinum, modern Pavia. Pope Leo I personally rode out to meet Attila at the Mincio River. No document explains what was said. But Attila withdrew without attacking Rome. Christian chroniclers claimed Leo had performed a miracle. Modern historians point to epidemics and supply shortages as the real causes of the retreat. In 453 AD, Attila died suddenly, in his own bridal tent, on the night of his wedding to Ildiko, a young Germanic woman. He was found drowned in his own blood. The official cause, a nosebleed while sleeping in a drunken state. But rumors of poisoning persisted for centuries. His body was buried in 3 nested coffins, gold, silver, and iron, and every slave who participated in the funeral was executed to keep his burial location secret forever. It is estimated that Attila's campaigns killed or enslaved between 3 and 5 million people over 20 years. Entire cities vanished. Aquileia, with 100,000 inhabitants, was never rebuilt. Its survivors founded Venice by taking refuge on lagoon islands. The Balkan provinces lost up to 60% of their population. Children were sold as slaves, women abducted, fields burned. For Roman survivors, the passing of the Huns was literally identical to the end of the world. There was no trial or tribunal. Attila was absolute power. But his death unleashed a devastating succession war among his sons, Elik, Dengizic, and Ernak. In 454 AD, just 1 year after their father's death, the Hunnic Empire collapsed at the Battle of the Nidao River, where subjugated tribes rose in revolt. Dengizic, attempting to restore his father's power, was captured and killed by the Romans in 469 AD, his head publicly displayed in Constantinople. The Romans documented Attila with simultaneous terror and fascination. Priscus of Panium, a diplomat who visited his court in 448 AD, left detailed accounts of his customs and feasts. Jordanes, a Gothic chronicler of the 6th century, described him as the scourge of all lands. The Catholic Church, by transforming the meeting with Pope Leo into a divine miracle, reframed the retreat as a Christian victory, conveniently erasing decades of Roman military failure to contain the conqueror. History treated Attila with fascinating ambiguity. For Germanic peoples, he became an epic figure, appearing as Atli in the Poetic Edda, a central character in the Nibelungenlied saga, immortalized centuries later by Richard Wagner in his grand operas. For Slavic and Roman peoples, Attila was the devil incarnate. For modern Hungarians, paradoxically, he is a national hero. His name, in ancient Hungarian, literally means father of all, a title of supreme honor. The destruction caused by the Huns accelerated the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, which fell definitively in 476 AD, just 23 years after Attila's death. The mass migrations triggered by Hunnic invasions redrew Europe's ethnic map. The Visigoths founded the Kingdom of Toulouse. The Ostrogoths, the Kingdom of Italy. And Venice, today a UNESCO World Heritage Site visited by 20 million tourists a year, was born directly from the refugees of Aquileia. Without Attila, there would be no Venice. Attila's strategy, terrorizing populations to extract tribute without needing to govern them, is studied in military academies to this day. 20th-century dictators used similar tactics, systematic destruction to create zones of submission. The ethnic boundaries Attila redrawn in Europe persisted for centuries, shaping conflicts through the modern Balkans. And the debate over whether a barbarian conqueror can be called a national hero remains alive and controversial in contemporary Hungary. Attila died in 453 AD, but his ghost shaped the centuries that followed. He proved that seemingly invincible civilizations can collapse within decades when forces arise that elites refuse to take seriously. The Scourge of God was not a historical anomaly, he was a cruel mirror that showed Rome its own weakness and decay. If you enjoyed this story, like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories that school never taught you.